Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And I think also, Assalamu alaikum to my fellow Muslim friends. I know some of you are trickling in. As the time is little for me, so it's a big subject, I'll dive right into it and take you through. Okay. That's what it is. And I'll take you through the looking glass from where the insurance industry is on opportunities and impact. But this is the reality. The greatest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. It is to act with yesterday's logic. So I think we have got to withdraw ourselves from having a look at what's in the past, what's common, and what's norm into the future. And with that, I'd like to present you the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality. And if you look at all this reality, that's where we are. The breakdown is real. The breakdown is costing us millions. And in this breakdown, there are ways, there are means, there are methodology that perhaps we can then exclude ourselves by being a bit more targeted with a view of providing a lot more for the future. Beyond that, what's our conversation going to be? I'll take you through these few things. I think it is important for us to take stock. We baseline this, appreciate what ESG expectations are, and where are you in where you are in your own company and where you are in supply chain. Finding your center, i.e. your corporate purpose. Are you enhancing yourself by embracing ESG? Then you monitor and perhaps you benchmark as well. And finally, we talk about investing in the future. Benefits now and beyond. I think in every adversity, there will always be an opportunity. Hence, you create value, and in trying to create value, you empower the future. Without doing that, we may be short-sighted, or we may be kicking ourselves in our own ass. Quickly, setting the scene. Why ESG? It sounds sexy. Everybody's talking about it. The whole world is jiving and talking and creating value from this. But is it real? Next question, can you afford to? Or can you afford not to? I think that's a bigger question to answer. Just another hackneyed cliche? Is just because everybody's talking about it? Like everybody talked about reverse engineering, everybody talked about Y2K, and nothing really happens in the past? So having said that, or is it just a targeted ploy to enrich organizations, to enrich nations, to enrich the banking system, or to enrich certification and validation? Or don't you think that it's the new order? I believe it is the new order of the day. Hence, you either live with it, take hold of it, ride it, control it, run with it, create opportunity with it, or we get left behind. So in all those that we want to do, let's look at what are the ESG objectives. This is my views, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it's a collective view that's been presented in most places. Number one is about shared values for humanity. With wokeism, not only in America, and it's starting to creep in Asia, especially in us as well, we've forgotten humanity. Everything else is about us. There's no more win-win, but I win, you lose. That's not about humanity. Is this the world that we want to leave behind for our kids and our children? And also, it is to ensure that we reject the old status quo. We can't live with the old status quo. We can benefit from its reflection. We can create reality from these experiences that we've had in the past, but it is the new status quo that will drive conservation, education, and equality. I will speak a bit more on equality as we continue, but if you look at conservation and education, that's what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. One, we've got to ensure that our nature and planet will remain where it will be and continue to do so. Mother Nature can heal itself, but it needs us too. Resources. Unless we practice circular economy, the resources are not going to be there for our children and grandchildren. For me, for my grandchildren. And our way of life. Is it too easy or is it convenient just to give it up because we follow the Joneses? Or shouldn't we have our own principles and way of life? And look at the diversity. I hate to say this. Yesterday we've got like 260 participants. Today we have got 200 more. But look around us. How many ladies are there in this room? And we have our panels. How many ladies were seated with the panels? Don't we think that this diversity, inclusiveness, and gender is also important? Let's not forget, we all live in one world, and we all have our purposes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, is ESG. It's on one side, moral compass leading towards humanities, and the other side, we've got integrity, doing things with a purpose for the right reason, right and wrong, which is important. I'll move you along. And in this, let's connect the dots. I see it as, let's pause for a moment. Does your organization align with ESG? The fact that everyone is talking about it, but are we aligning ourselves? Don't you think it's time? Or, the next step, we need to examine this. We have forgotten that the objectives sometimes are not intentionally done. You do it for the wrong reasons. Or shouldn't we have an intention to do something? So look at it with a lens of intentionality. That's when you can separate, perhaps, people, profits, and process and planet. And lastly, we have to think, ponder about this, because what is your organization's raison d'être? Your purpose. That's what life is all about. We all live in this world for a purpose. And the purpose is to see us through together. I think that's the key word that we may need to examine. The transformation, in my opinion, in any organization is about yourself. So you got to be able to have a public perception so that people see you for the right reason. And I'll take you through a bit more. And also a lender's baseline. Like it or not, the moment you mention commerce, you need financing. You need intellectual capital. You need also capacity in terms of financing your project. So the lender's expectations is absolutely real. It's an 80-20 Pareto principle. You can have 20% your corporate capital. You need 80% somebody to bankroll it. So you must get down to their baselines. Number two, your own ESG ecosystem. If you don't, it's time to framework it. It's time to engage. It's time to find that purpose. Number three, we're looking at your own organizational drive towards sustainability. Before, ladies and gentlemen, 10, 15 years ago, we all talk about customer satisfaction. When you talk about customer satisfaction, we drive companies for profitability. Today, we've gone beyond customer satisfaction. We all talk about customer delight. Hence, it has got to be profit and sustainability. If you're not going to be here to serve your customers in the next 20 years, that's not customer delight anymore. You're just perhaps providing them what they need today. But they need you for a solution in many more years to come. Very quickly, we'll go through this as well. ESG risk that disrupts supply chain. Now we hit to where you are. Let's see this together. Environmental pollution. Like it or not, COVID-19 brought a lot of us to understand suddenly the skies were blue again. The rivers were running swiftly as well as fresh again. The sea started to change color. Venice became a bit more bluer than blue, for example. Then you look at natural resources scarcity. This is going to hit us. If we do not reinvent ourselves, natural resources is going to disappear. Hence, we need to talk about circular economy. Who promotes this best, if not the supply chain? We talk about workforce health, safety incidents. This is a given. Human lives are far more important than many other assets of yours. And we cannot subject them to collateral damages. Hence, it's a question to worry about. Labor disputes, human rights, all these are also an important feature. Geopolitical instability, we'll not go too much about it. It's staring at us. All this geopolitical conflict may come to us again and again over time. Hence, it's something that we got to deal with. And the bigger problem, ladies and gentlemen, is this. For as long as we stop believing in moral compass and integrity, that corrupt practices will remain. And this will take away all the efficiencies that you and I can build for generations. It will be destroyed. And this, let's be real. You only control all these problems in your own organization, 20% of it. Because the balance of it, the responsibilities lies with your supply chain partners and affiliate. Anyone and every one of you. Whatever products or services you sell. You need your supply chain. And they control 80% of the stuffs that you do. Now, that's where the risk is. Having said that, what's sexy? A lot of people talk about it. It's scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1 simply means the air that I breathe, the petrol that I consume, the black energy that I use. If I can measure this, I can start towards going green, going ESG, for example. Be real. Supply chain, ESG management, and compliance tips. I'll take you into the tips first, give you an idea of what the opportunities are. One, start measuring. We all spoke, or many of my earlier speakers just now spoke about human intelligence, talking about data as well as digital economy is no more a concept. It is a business strategy, so all of us have got to digitalize. Hence, we got to start measuring it. We measure this on usage of electricity or water, reduce or switch to renewable energy as a start. But all these also require some form of standards, which you need to. Traceability system, again, data analytics, predictive modeling is the way forward in the future. Identify and trace, let me go backwards. Identify and trace history of distribution. Because if you have 80% of them dealing with the stuff that you do, and you don't do this with them, you would never know what risk they bring to you and what other new risks that can come forward. Location, application of all resources, ensure reliability and sustainability in respect, especially human rights, health, safety, environment, and anti-corruption. If they do it down the line, you don't realize it, your banks are going to get sick and tired of you and walk away. So you've got to be very clear what your supply chain is doing or assisting you with or not doing. That's when we do vendorship management with them, for example. Leverage on all these ISOs for ideal benchmark and sustainability compliance. What else do you do? Priorities, conscious collaboration. Add codes. Codes of conduct to your contracts with suppliers, local communities, and collaborating with industry peers. Time has come because the technology is here with us. We've got the supply chain or the blockchain technology for you to be able to be traceable and transparent. If you're transparent and traceable, your public persona change. Your investor relation change. The belief in you changes. So all this becomes real if you need to better manage and anticipate existing and future risk. Risk management and especially execution risk in whatever you do can only be transferred to a certain extent. The bigger part of it is management. Hence enterprise-wide risk management or just risk management. You've got to create a virtuous circle. Easier said than done, ladies and gentlemen. But this virtuous circle requires to do some stuff. Intimate tracking and measuring, not that it's not doable, because you can leverage on technology, leverage on digitalization, leverage on sensors, leverage on a lot of intelligence that's available. Leads to ethical procurement. That's what we all want. We are supply chain. Fewer workplace-related incidents, fewer fines, lawsuits, and regulatory compliance. Increase productivity. And these additional profits then create motivation for you to have impact and restart the cycle of a virtuous circle. We all talk about virtue. But whilst we talk about virtue, we ignore the very fact that virtue actually promotes us to be a better person, a better human. And that we forget because we've lost the concept of humanity as it's only us who wants to win and we don't care if someone else loses. Lastly, beware of virtue signaling. I don't want to belabor the point. Don't say something and do something else. And that's what happened to these guys. The two giants, Tesla and Apple, were sued for child minors. And that's a huge reputational risk. They can take it. Can you? Can we? Can we collectively take such a thing? Because we're growing the business that we grow from perhaps a standpoint of a view where it's important to the world. That view must be the right view first, doing right and wrong. A little bit more, what direct benefits do you see from ESG? This is the direct value creation. ESG drives up efficiency. I don't want to go through this with you, but you can read it. It does all this stuff. It also does this. It gives you visibility. It gives you a transformation efforts. The moment you put traceability and transparency into your supply chain, everybody knows where you get your products from, where you get your raw materials from, and it is produced not through child labor or human rights issues or cross-border possibility difficulties. So therefore, your transparency and visibility becomes more real. You also have, when you embrace ESG, you help to bring this new talent. People who has got moral compass, who wants to stay for the right reason as they believe in humanity. They believe there's room for our children and grandchildren. Otherwise, we don't. And you also improve business reputation and customer relationship. It's a given. It's a given. And if you're not transparent, traceable, everybody suspects you for whatever you do. And lastly, data can inform other aspects of business. I think the various gentlemen spoke about it, on how important data and sensors and bringing all this information together for you then to include mitigation measures and growth strategies. Okay? All right. What are then more opportunities out of this? Let's look at posturing with ESG. What's going on in the world? There is a regulatory tsunami. All the banks, all the governments, all the disparity and differences in laws, in permittings, in applications for a lot of stuff. And all this is driving towards us heading in the ESG direction. And that posturing, if you don't navigate the regulatory tsunami, then you have a problem, because you guys are the one who carries, or plus me, we carry all products and goods all over the world. And we've got to navigate all sorts of regulatory requirements. And if we don't conform, then you're out of the picture. You've got to worry about the global shifts as well. Globally, everybody is moving to ESG for green funding, for circular economy, for the advantages of being visible and profitable. So if we're not part of this global shift, if we don't believe that globally this is what we have to do, we're going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. And your supply chain suffers with you, because it starts with you. As we connect both parties, the end user loses, the front end user loses without us. With us, perhaps we can move on together, because it's an 80-20 Pareto principle. Then you have public affairs. The public today is far more conscious of what you do because of transparency. And they have got their expectations as well. And these expectations comes with long-term private equity, long-term with venture capitalists who's now investing into green businesses, into the green world, into the future. So if we don't believe this concept, you're not going to have all your public affairs being taken care of. Your investors walks away from your local and international demand. And lastly, is it time? Data explosion. With the amount of data that you have today, it's unreal if you don't use it for the right reason. It is unreal if you don't collect it with digitalization and create predictive modeling for your purposes. Okay, I'll move on a bit more, and I think this is important. In innovation, I've done lots of stuff in reading this and trying to understand where the verticals are. Let's look at number one, transparency. The more you have accounting standards or accountability standards, the better you would be in positioning yourself. And in that positioning yourself, I think at some point in time, the supply chain industry, TAPA can play a role in this, making sure that accountability standards are somewhat homogenized or hologized in some sense, so that all of us has got a minimum global standards in order to move in the right direction. You need not necessarily go any further, but this has become an app. The blockchain traceability. The moment you're traceable, you become transparent. You don't have to report. You don't have to answer, because everyone can go into your domain and see what you are. What have you done? What are you going to do? Where do you get your stuff? All these can be transparent. Then you talk about optimization. I believe robotic process automation takes away human difficulties, human failures, and human models in terms of going from what was, which was purely a standard where we cannot understand anymore, which is manual, into a standard that we expect in the future, which is digitalization. So the robotic process has removed a lot more of the human elements, human difficulties, and human failures into a system that allows you to be efficient. Machine learning plus artificial intelligence. So we cannot invent the world or reinvent anything and everything just on its own. We need data, we need information, and we need to create this into a predictive modeling. So like in the insurance industry, what do we do in the past? We collect experiences that's 5, 10 years ago, bring it to the table of the underwriter then comes up with terms and conditions. Today, we need not do that anymore. We can predict what's going to happen in the next 5 years. We bring this information to the underwriters and tell the underwriters, these are the terms and conditions we expect because we've got predictive modeling. So the world has shifted. It's shifted towards mining data and using it accurately for the right reason. You then have verticality. You can integrate. So if you look at the entire supply chain, you got your customer on the front end. You got the supply chain, 80%. And then you've got the end user. Just pause for a moment. If you can integrate risk and finance into it, put together a scheme of things driven perhaps with TAPA and by TAPA's organizational standards, requirements, as well as certification, get the insurance companies and the banks to gravitate to the business that you want to do because you are transparent, because you're traceable. So the entire process then can be underwritten even on the table without having to send a physical inspector down the line. You imagine the benefit you bring to your not only end user, but your immediate customer, which will promote traffic. That's what you want to do, right? We want to promote traffic in the business that we do. This is something that's real. Then the Internet of Things are there for you to connect with. All you need now is sensors. All you need is the Internet of Things. And these are no more mainframes. It's already in application, which is stuck in your phones. And lastly, the disruption. You have got the supply chain as a service, and you've also got the GIS responsiveness. People like us in the insurance industry, we track where the ships are. You trap a ship in the Panama Canal, we lose $10 billion US, import and export. The insurance industry then have got to pay if there's going to be delays, if there's going to be accidents, if there's going to be incidents. And all these incidents come tens of billions every year. So if you guys actually connect with stuffs like this, and you know exactly which ship are going where, and where is the cargo necessarily protected or unprotected, simple reason, if you put goods together, goods that's not perhaps necessarily close to one another, shouldn't be with one another. And that information is available. And this information, the supply chain industry can actually gravitate to, mine it, and use predictive modeling for you to be able to get through artificial intelligence information that can drive your business. Again, it leads to traffic. Game changer, like it or not, your goal is your desired outcome. How do you get there? You leverage on Industry 4.0. Everybody's saying it. So I'll just go right down into it and concentrate in one or two. This is what you're looking at, really, isn't it? You've got improved communication because in networking and interaction, information transparency, you break down silos, you become traceable. You decentralize, so you've got independence. You can work from anywhere and you can collect information to make informed decisions, which makes you very agile and efficient. And lastly, you can scale up, you can reach, and you have dimension. All this is the total solution. Leverage on it because it's there. It's available for you. It's a question of investing in knowing exactly what you want, the platform that you need, a quick young man to be able to put together and show you the structure that's real. And very quickly, before I end this, because my time is up, ESG initiatives ensures all those stuff which you and I talked about. ESG and corporate purpose make for sustainable competitive advantage. And the bottom line is long-term, consistent ROI. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you my takeaways. And I think it is important for us to see this. One, it's about you. Change is inevitable, but start small. Do not be overly aggressive and wants to do everything because nothing happens. If you have to change something, start small. Then the way we work will be unrecognizable. From now on, whatever we're going to do in the future, it's no more recognizable. It's the new order of the day. You've got purpose, which will drive change, not profits. Profits does not necessarily drive change. Purpose and intention will drive change. And you have got to sacrifice some profits for the benefit of our grandchildren. Not just the world, our grandchildren. And IR in 4.0 will unlock the industry potential. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, leave behind a better world. I think that's the legacy. With that, I end this conversation. Thank you very much for all your time.